Hey, what's going on, guys? As you can tell, I'm at home. I actually got home yesterday on the 3rd of July, but it was not without a pretty interesting experience. My AC ran out, and I had about 7 hours to go to get here. Yeah, it was pretty interesting and a little bit dangerous, actually. So I'm going to tell you all about how I survived in my truck with no AC in temperatures that exceeded 113 degrees. I'll be right back. All right, hey, welcome back, guys. Today is the 4th of July, so I wanted to wish everyone a happy Independence Day. I hope everyone is well. About what happened to me, I was on my way back home. And yesterday, when I started my day, I was in Tucumcari, New Mexico, and left at about 7 in the morning, 7 a.m. By the time I got to Albuquerque, New Mexico, my AC stopped working, just stopped. So I pulled over, looked at YouTube. I saw there were a couple of channels that talked about if your AC is blowing hot, what you can do to reset it and that type of thing. So I did that, worked on that, and it didn't work. So when I pulled over to take my 30-minute break, I was in Santa Maria, I believe, right off of the 40. There's a truck stop right there. And so I pulled in there, and it was already starting to get hot about that time. It was about 92 degrees. So I realized I had a good 6 hours until I would be getting home. The temperature was already 92 up on I-40 heading west. I had looked at the forecast, so I knew that it was going to be 112, 113, 114 possibly, and I knew that it was going to get much hotter. As I was up on the rim, we call it the rim, up on 40, where you take the 40 and then you take 17 to come down into the Phoenix area. It was already like 94 degrees, 95 degrees at the rim. So I knew it was going to get much hotter. What I ended up doing, I called my wife and told her that my AC went out. And she said, she gave me a great tip. She said to find a water bottle. If I can find a water bottle, then I can spray myself and that'll keep me cool. I didn't have a spray bottle. I couldn't buy one. So I used an old Windex bottle that I had in my truck. I poured out, it was only about that much window cleaner in it. So I poured that out, washed it out, and then poured some fresh water into it. So I had a gallon of water that I was going to use to keep my spray bottle full. I only needed to use one bottle of it. That ended up probably not really saving my life, but making a really, really potentially dangerous situation a lot more bearable. So what I did, I actually pulled over, went to a truck stop, and I purchased this guy. Purchased one of these, styrofoam cooler. I purchased a 7-pound bag of ice, and I already had a bottle of water. As you know, I keep bottled water in the truck. So that ended up working very, very well. What I didn't realize was that at 92, 93, 95 degrees, as you're driving down the road, the inside of the truck is actually a lot hotter than that. I will admit, this happened to me about 2 years ago. My AC ran out. I was on my way back from Colorado. Now, the difference was I had time. I was able to pull over and actually get a hotel. And I would recommend that. If you are in a situation where you know you're going to be in extreme temperatures, extremely hot temperatures, if you can pull over, I would go ahead and pull over. Unfortunately, that wasn't an option for me because the area in between Flagstaff and Phoenix, there really isn't anywhere to pull over to get some relief. So I knew that wasn't going to be an option for me. I was going to have to tough through it. So what I ended up doing was I cracked my windows And what I was doing was I was keeping myself hydrated. And I used my thermos. What I normally use to keep my coffee hot, I used that. I put some ice in there and I kept my water cold. Now, when you're in an extreme situation where you're dealing with extreme temperatures, your body just needs to be hydrated. So what I did, as I was driving down the freeway with my windows cracked, I sprayed myself with the spray bottle. I sprayed my arm as I'm driving, sprayed my arms, sprayed my legs, I sprayed the top of my head. What's really, really important is that if you find yourself in a situation like this, that you keep your head, the back of your neck, your throat, basically you keep your head as cool as possible. Now, when people start to get heat stroke, it's because their head is getting too hot. Their brain can't handle the heat. So it causes a lot of problems. What was great through all of this is that I was able to keep my head cool, my neck cool, just with the spray bottle, and didn't have any problems. You know, the first sign that you might be getting heat stroke is that you'll start to get a tiny bit of a headache. At that point, you really, really need to get your head cool. You got to get your head cool. You got to cool your head off. Because if you get to the point where you get into a full-fledged migraine, that type of thing, you could lose consciousness and it could be very, very dangerous. Well, as I'm driving down the freeway, again, on the rim, it was about 92 to 95 degrees. Well, as I started descending, there are actually two valleys. When you get down about an hour and a half, you get into a little town called Cottonwood, and that's kind of a valley right there, but it's still 5,000 feet there. And then you start to climb a little bit more, and then you drop down into Phoenix, basically. Well, at that point, when I got down into Cottonwood, it was 107. It was 107 degrees, and I'm pulling a load. I've got 43,000 pounds, so I'm at a weight of 75,000 pounds. So I'm a little concerned that my truck, once I start to pull that grade going up, might start to overheat. Well, truck did great. I'm burning up, right? And I'm spraying and drinking and staying hydrated, spraying and drinking. The bad thing about it was there's road construction going on 17 early on. Not really at that point. It's early on, right as you come onto the 17. There's several miles where construction's going on and traffic came to a dead stop, and it stayed at a stop. That was probably the worst of it, honestly, because there's no airflow going. And that was the part that was getting tough. That were around there. It hadn't gotten to quite 100 yet. But that moved through that and got through the grade, started heading back up. The truck did perfectly. The truck was probably like, hey, what's your problem, bud? I'm good here. So, so as I started climbing again and then started to descend down into Phoenix, it really started to get hot there. It got into like 112. By the time I got down the mountain into Surprise, it was 115 degrees. But what saved me was having the bottled water on the truck, having the cooler with the ice in it, because what eventually happened, my spray bottle got so hot. I mean, everything in the truck was baking. I mean, I don't think, if you've never been in a situation like that, where when you're rolling down the road with your AC, man, you are good. When that AC stops, you're basically 6x8 box, and everything in the truck was baking. My phone was baked. I turned the phone off. I turned my ELD, my tablet off. My laptop was baking. Everything was baking. The steering wheel was hot. The only thing that was keeping me cool was spraying myself down. And everything else was hot. The gear shifter was hot. I almost thought I was going to put my gloves on, honestly. And I have never experienced this before. If any of you have, leave in the comments if you have experienced that before. What did you do to help you get through it. Let's say that pulling over, getting a hotel is not an option, and you're going to have to tough through it. What did you guys do? This is what I did. And I really wanted to share this with you guys because we're in the summertime now. So if you ever find yourself in a situation like this, where you're dealing with extreme temperatures, and they can happen not just in Arizona where I live. You can get extreme temperatures throughout the country. If you find yourself, number one, crack your windows, stay hydrated, and just sip. Don't guzzle, because you can actually get sick from that as well. But stay hydrated, number one. And number two, keep your head, your neck area, keep your head cool. And that will help you feel better. Those are the two key things that I did yesterday that I feel really kept me from getting sick and helped me to make it through. So, hey, if that helps you guys, go ahead and hit the like. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Scorpion Trucker, out.